Joining me now from Amman, Jordan, is Sam Rose, the acting director of the United Nations Relief Works Agency for Palestine refugees in Gaza. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So can you just paint a picture for us of what daily life looks like right now in Gaza for ordinary families and for your UNRWA teams on the ground? What are people dealing with hour by hour?
People are dealing with a fragile situation and a precarious one that's growing a bit more precarious with every day, as we see that these not really landmarks, but the elements of the deal are not going ahead quite as we would like, both in terms of the volumes of supplies coming in, the continued armed incidents, the delays with the handover of the remains of the hostages, and also what we're seeing in terms of civil unrest, a bit of civil unrest on the street. But look, the situation is far better than it was up until about a week ago. So my staff, their families, their children are not going to bed at night worrying if they're not going to wake up in the morning. So they're not faced with the constant fear of bombardment and displacement. They're faced with another kind of fear, which is not quite so visceral, but is more complex, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah. I understand that. And I also understand that aid convoys are still facing serious delays and restrictions at border crossings. Are you seeing any actual improvement in access and operations in Gaza from your team there, or are things still largely gridlocked?
I mean, we're seeing improvements relative to the zero aid that's been getting in really since March. We're seeing improvements in the sense that people aren't being slaughtered on a daily basis in and around the sites of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. But no, the hundreds of trucks of aid that are needed each day are not getting in yet. And people expected the start of this to be quite quiet. It's been a week of Israeli holidays, so the crossings have only been open sporadically. But our teams are ready to go outside of Gaza and inside of Gaza, and those flows are not materializing just yet. But it's not that my staff are sitting idle. I have 10,000 staff and more at work every day, cleaning up our facilities, reopening health points in Gaza City, where hundreds of thousands of people have gone back, reopening shelters in Eastern Khan Yunis, where tens of thousands of people have been able to return over the past couple of weeks. So people are working, people are preparing, but those supplies that we need are not yet getting in, unfortunately.
And just how much of Gaza is currently under direct Hamas control versus contested or controlled by other groups or external actors? And how does Hamas's control or interference affect the ability of aid agencies to operate independently and safely?
About half of the Gaza Strip remains under Israeli control. That is the key factor right now. So you have 2.1 million people hemmed in to half of the Gaza Strip, and they're not hemmed into homes for the most part. They're hemmed in on beaches, in tents, in rickety shelters, lined up on the side of buildings, on roundabouts, on the side of roads, things like that. Within the half of the Gaza Strip that the Hamas controls, they are reasserting their control on the streets. The presence of police are there, and there are sporadic clashes between the Hamas authorities and some of these local elements that have been filling the security vacuum over the past couple of years during the conflict. We predicted that this would happen. We forecasted that there would be a meeting out of this. And what we've seen over the past couple of days in terms of summary executions is absolutely horrific. That's the last thing that anyone needs. We've called throughout this conflict for accountability, and it's accountability on all sides. So that, of course, needs to stop, and the United Nations are calling for it to stop. It's a worry, but it's less of a worry than the bombardments from the air and the sea and the ground that people have had to put up with for the past couple of years.
Well, we appreciate getting perspective from you and all the work your team are doing there. Sam Rose, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.